first of all, Taylor, huge congratulations. You punched your ticket for Paris 2024. You're going to be going.
Well, hopefully, yes. Someone else asked me that, and they're like, do you think you want to come back next year? I'm like, oh yes, I want to come back. Like, so yes.
Well, we were talking earlier, and you said it's so much of an advantage to qualify way out instead of like waiting to the very last minute, maybe qualifying next year.
Well, yeah, that's what it seems to be the trend in women's triathlon, but you never know. And so now that it's like out of the way, the focus next year can be on July 31st at 8 a.m. versus targeting a earlier season race and maybe peaking wrong or having to peak too early, because I think I had that in 2021, and it's like it's hard to come down off of the high and then refocus versus like just charging through.
Yeah, I think it's very hard to get two big peaks pretty close together like that. So you have a year, so that's awesome.
Well, 347 days.
347 days, and
it's on July 31st at 8 a.m.
In case you haven't noticed, Taylor knows a lot about numbers, and I did an interview with her at Oceanside 70.3 a couple years ago, and she said, I've only got 2 minutes and 33 seconds before I need to get out of here. And I'm like, you got it, girl.
Yeah, I was counting those seconds in T2 though, so not exacting enough.
So just take us through the race. One of the questions I had was, I was looking at where the other top women were lining up, that Potter and Cassandra. They were in the middle. You chose number 1, right on the far right on the swim.
Yeah, so the coaches, they like looked at the pontoon and they found that from slot 1 to 45 with the laser beam, the difference was a max of a meter difference to the first buoy, so very negligible. And then the current was actually the strongest on the outside yesterday at that time, so it should have been like a higher current on the outside. So I was like, and I like open water, like I don't love, like I was a little bit deeper, I was 18, so I was like, you don't necessarily get to choose who you're around, and so I'm like, I'm going to 1, like that'll just be what it is. And I think I came out well, not really well, but like okay enough on the first lap, and then I don't know what happened the second lap, so I need to watch that because I just don't know. So that was not good coming back so far.
Yeah, no, pretty smart move on the position in the start there. I saw, on the bike you were kind of in that third pack coming around the first loop, and then all of a sudden you're leading everybody. How was it to close the gap between you and the second pack and then the lead pack?
Well, I tried, so it was like once we got the second group in sight, I let everyone else close the gap, because you never want to fully close the gap if you can, and so it's like just like get them to the position where they're like hungry enough to do it, and I'm like, okay, now your turn, go on. But then once the packs merge, like I just wanted to stay out of trouble, because you just like never know what's going to happen, and I didn't know how you could feel like the tension. I don't know, because you haven't been to a ton of WTS races yet. It's like, it's a different race because there's so much on the line, and everyone's like keeping tabs of everyone else, so it's like I'm just like, who's gonna crash, who's gonna like, you just like, I wanted to stay out of trouble. And then like Kate Waugh, Taylor Spivey, and one of the German athletes were like in the front, but that was pretty much it.
Yeah, that was pretty good. And then you guys came around into the transition just flying, and you hit that carpet, and I could hear a couple of wheels sort of, it almost sounded like they were going to slide out, but they didn't, thankfully.
No, thankfully, but I think that because of the cobbles, everyone had a lot. You were joking about your 19s with 140 PSI, and we had a lot of people rode, I think, 28s or even more. So, different world, but that helps with the handling.
Yeah, totally different world. I couldn't see transition, but it looked like you lost some time in there.
Oh, I had the worst T2 probably of my life, and I have a lot of bad T2s. So, yes, I could not get my right shoe on, but then, like, I'm like, okay, this could actually be your advantage because, like, my run's been coming around. I got surgery 7.5 months ago, and so, like, it's, Yokohama was kind of, I'd had 6 weeks of running total, but that's, like, 6 weeks off of surgery. So it was, like, maybe, like, 3 land runs. So, anyway, and then I got sick. So, like, my run's been coming along, and so I was, like, for some reason I had a little bit of confidence in it, but you don't know until you, like, know. So I'm like, okay, use this to your advantage, so then, like, you piece it well. But, there are different dynamics, because I'm like, well, Beth and Cassandra running together, like, that'll push them fast for the last lap, and the other 2 women fighting for the podium, that'll also, have them speed up the last lap, versus if they were solo. So you just have to understand the race dynamics and, like, how one thing might affect the next.
Yeah, you came out at transition, and you were kind of like on the very back of that pack, and I thought, you know, like I said, I couldn't see the transition, so I didn't know you'd lost time in there until I looked afterwards at the splits. And I thought, oh geez, did she burn too many matches on the bike? But then second lap, you were right in the middle, and you just kept moving up every time.
Yes, thankfully, yes. No, but I think the difference between like short course and long course, like in a nutshell, is kind of like long course. I feel like it's trying to get to the finish line as fast as possible ahead of everyone else. In short course, I feel like it's just you're trying to get to the finish line before everyone else. So in terms of like, if you're making it, you might not be doing something that would get you to the finish line as fast as possible, but if it burns matches of other people even more, which was skiing, so, because I don't think I'm the third best runner out there, so.
I don't know, you had a very fast run split. There was only a couple who were faster than you.
Well, yeah, because it was a harder bike and it was a more honest bike, so then you like just zap a little bit, because like, Beth Potter went to the Olympics in the 10K, like, Cassandra's very good too. Like, there are a lot of very good runners out there.
Clearly, she's right there with the best runners. She's very humble on that level there. You know, if you took that transition out of it and you had kind of just a little bit faster transition, you would have been on the podium. That's pretty amazing.
You never know, because like it would have changed that dynamic, and I don't know where I would have ended up in terms of, because I think they were running as a group of 4 or 5, and then people dropped off, so you never know. But.
So what would be the biggest takeaway lesson if you're kind of reflecting back? What will this race help you to do? How will it help you prepare for Paris in 2024?
Well, I think knowing the course, kind of knowing the dynamics of the race, where the swim is integral, but the bike is hard to kind of break up. It's just very fast, and at like higher speeds, it's harder to create that differential. And so just getting more comfortable. I was telling someone, like, I did not ever feel good on the 180 on the Champs Elysees. Like, I don't think, like, if I were to grade myself on all 7 of my 180s, I'd give myself like the highest grade, maybe a C, because I stayed upright. Maybe on 1, but like my last one, I'm like, oh, you're getting tired, Taylor. Like, my last one was my worst one by far. So yes, I just need to, and that's where I'm hoping to learn from professional cyclists and learn how to break away, or learn how to like just be better on the bike.
Yeah, it's great. Yeah, everybody who was talking about that 180, who, you know, the day before, nobody felt like they did it right. It's a hard turn on the cobbles.
Yeah, and if it rains next year, that's going to be carnage.
Yeah. Well, congratulations, Taylor+Knibb, the first U.S. qualifier on the Olympic team going to Paris 2024. I'm just so excited for you. Amazing.
Well, thank you, Mark. Thank you for being here. What did you notice from the weekend? Like, what would you tell someone who was racing this race? Like, what would you tell the men after having watched the women's race of like how to be better?
I tell them, one, transitions are absolutely key. Coming up out of the water on those stairs, you can gain some time. You know, if you can maybe do it without going into complete oxygen debt. Third thing would be, it's probably nearly impossible to break away on this bike course. You know, even if you can get somebody to work with you, I just don't know if the amount of energy that would take, if you could actually really make a break that would stick. So clearly, you're going to have to run well, and so I would work on my run. I would work on that second half of the run. The first half, obviously, coming out of transition to get in the right position. Second, in that last part, because that's where obviously you're going to have to make a move when you're already at, you know, red line. So how do I go faster when I'm already at red line? That, ladies and gentlemen, is the question that Taylor is going to have to answer next year.
You're not going to answer it for us.
It takes, you know, when you run with runners, that's one way. Like you said, with the biking, you're going to be cycling with the best women in the world, and that's going to help the cycling leg.
And hopefully on cobbles.
Hopefully
so then
on
these cobbles seem like, ooh, these are chill.
Yeah. And then, but training with runners, see how they do it, and to just see what that level can be like. You know, I know personally, training with triathletes, we all kind of have our speed, right? And so when I was training in Boulder, I trained with, you know, Rob DiCostella and a lot of the really good runners at the time. And it just showed me what's possible with my body. And I'm like, I would have never gone here without those guys. And So, you know, I would incorporate just a little bit of that, you know, those carrots out there, those people that are, they're at that next level, and then you will be at that level too. And then when you come back here in 2024, shh, don't tell anybody. She's going to be one of the favorites.
I don't think so, but thank you.